Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're rolling into a race weekend again. It's Friday. You're listening to Trackside. I'm Terry Turner. Right there is Randy Dye. Randy, it's still fun and it's still exciting rolling into race weekends, isn't it? Friday afternoon, Friday evening rolls around, excitement begins, big race weekend. Hey, it's still fun, isn't it, after all these years?
It's definitely different. I get to, and I don't know that anybody really cares about my perspective, but after all these years of being a race fan and going to races all around the country, and that was always fun. It takes on a different feeling when your son is doing it. It's a whole. It opens up a different view, and so I am, and I've been doing this now with him for several years, but it's still, you approach it differently. I'll give you an example. It's funny because if we go and there's the truck race is racing, I go and watch that race like I always used to watch races. I could just watch and enjoy. I kind of root for our MHR teammates that we had while we were there. So I love Bill McAnally. I think he's a great guy, and I'm just more like a fan and have a great time. If we stay after and watch the Cup race, at places here or there, same thing. I mean, there's certain guys. Obviously, we're rooting for our colleague teammates, RCR, and that's a whole different thing. But man, when you're watching your kid, oh gosh, I don't know how to describe that to you.
Well, let me ask you this along that line, and I got another pretty cool question to ask you in a minute about father and son. But being it was Talladega last weekend, is that a little bit more? I don't know. I don't think I want to use the word stressful, but it's your kid at Talladega amongst 36 cars. What? Tell me about that.
Well, there's actually 38 cars that start the race. 41 tried and 38 make it, and I think there's a lot about Talladega that's different. Where I watch the race from is kind of like Talladega's old school. I mean, they haven't upgraded the facility in terms of suites where we entertain guests and so on. The suite is kind of like the way the suites at Daytona used to be years and years ago. Mm-hmm. And so you're closer to the racetrack, and that by itself gets a whole different sensation. Talladega, of course, is the fastest racetrack, on the circuit, and then beyond that, it's four wide, and then the history of Talladega and the quote-unquote big one. There's no way to describe, from my perspective, it's different. It is definitely different. I can tell you going to Talladega is different than going to Martinsville or going to Bristol or, just any place else, even different than Daytona.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Danica's asking a question. She's asking you, from Randy's experience, which I know he has a lot of, is the infield still the same at Talladega?
Well, that's I know Las Vegas takes credit for what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but I would say to you that I'm not sure that Talladega didn't actually have coined that phrase, or at least adapt that philosophy long time ago.
Well, yeah, I've heard many stories, and that's all we're going to say about that. So I want to ask you a really neat father and son question. You and Daniel obviously don't get to spend as much time as people think you do, because he's gone. He's getting ready for the race day. You know, he's concentrating on the race. But you guys took some time a couple of weeks back. I had to miss last week. Been a little sickly. But I was going to ask you, you took Daniel to one of your most favorite places in the world, and that's Augusta. How did that trip go? I know Daniel's into golf, just like you are, and there's not as much time maybe, but what was it like?
I think, I first would describe Augusta. I believe God put a little bit of heaven here for us to experience, and that's called Augusta, Georgia. It's amazing. It's so beautiful and spectacular, and the people, the Augusta National Club and the members, and they run the tournament. They're extraordinarily courteous. They take fans. You don't call them fans there. You call them patrons. They like concessions. Just a simple thing as a concession. You can get a sandwich there for $1.50. That's insane, right? In terms of the sports industry, a drink for $1, and I'm talking about like some sort of a cola, Coke, Sprite, a beer that's not much more. It's Daniel. He and I ate, and this was after we had already eaten, and it was $17. And I don't know if you've seen this kid eat, but that's $17 anywhere else, but Augusta National would have been $40. So I think, but in terms of being able to take Daniel there for his very first time and see the shock, the awe, what you do when you go there the very first time, you don't know what to do. You're like, do I follow the golfer? Where do I go? Where do I sit? Where do I walk? What do I do? I mean, you've heard about all of the traditions, and so it was a real pleasure for me to be his tour guide, and now of course he's hooked. So we're making our plans to go back, and I think the other thing, if you've never been, you can't believe the change in elevation at Augusta. You don't get to see that really, I don't think, very well on television. But when you get on that 10th tee and you walk down the 10th fairway, you just can't believe how much the elevation changes. And then walking back up the 18th hole and some of those, it's spectacular. It's spectacular. It's different than going to the World Series baseball game or an NHL Stanley Cup playoff or an NBA playoff. I mean, it's its own thing, and it's spectacular. And yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, we traveled together from Charlotte to Augusta, had dinner together, and one of the places you got to have dinner when you go to Augusta, it's called T-Bones. It's a steakhouse right on Washington Road, and it's nothing fancy, but it's where everybody goes, and it's phenomenal, and the staff is wonderful, and the service is great. Food is just terrific.
Wow.
Then we spent the night, and we got up, and we went to the golf course, and then we drove from Augusta to Bristol, because that's where we were racing, and that's the most amount of time I've got to spend with him in about 3 years.
Wow. Well, that I'm sure you'll agree with me. Both of us are dads, and that's an experience both for you and for Daniel that will never be forgotten.
Oh no, I've had the privilege of taking before Daniel, his older sister Nikki, my half brother TJ, my dad, my stepmother, lots of different people to Augusta for their first time, and it warms my heart to see that first reaction when you go, holy cow.
Yeah. I can just imagine. Well, congratulations on being able to do that. I want to stay, before we get into trucks, on golf for just a second, because this is a very interesting headline, and I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. And the headline is, PGA Tour interested in Steve Phelps for CEO opening, even though Steve Phelps is a new commissioner recently for NASCAR, and maybe we're surprised, but sources indicated that Sports Business Journal has said that he's still being considered as an active target despite his recent move. A spokesperson for Phelps declined comment when contacted by Sports Business Journal. I was a little surprised to see this one. What are your thoughts? Wow.
Well, I think if you're the PGA Tour, this is something, honestly, Terry, you and I talk about every week. As far as I'm concerned, we talk about the success of NASCAR, right? So, and how they have, if you go back in time and you think about that, a time a few years back when, they kind of went down the wrong path, as far as I'm concerned. Said that then, I'm saying it again, and it's firmly what I believe. They went the wrong direction, but they have recovered, and Steve Phelps has been a part of that recovery. He's led others in that recovery, and we know that NASCAR is healthy. This is an indication that others know that NASCAR is healthy, and it's an indication of who other industries are suggesting is responsible for the healthiness of NASCAR. I mean, if you're Steve Phelps and you want to challenge, the PGA Tour would be that place, because they've got their own stuff going on. You've got the PGA Tour and Live Golf, and those guys can't sit down and have a piece of cake together. It's a struggle, and Steve was able to, what I believe to be in very difficult circumstances, one step at a time, bring this sport back to a very healthy state. Now, to be clear, not by himself.
Right.
But he orchestrated it, and he put the team together, and he came from the NFL. That was his previous world. I think if I'm the PGA Tour, and you look at sports as a business, and you look around, you see who's done really, really well, and maybe fix something that was broken or at least wounded, and then where the success that they're having, you got to say, I'd like to hire him or somebody else, or I would think Steve Phelps would be on a lot of different sports industries short list to come and help, for sure. Yep.
Well, interesting, and you make a great point. It does say a lot about our sport and what it's, where it was not that long ago, and of course we had the media saying it was over and so on and so forth as to where it is now, and looking at all the sponsorships, brand new, still every week there's new ones. There's just so many we can't even get to them, and then of course TV ratings, and you look at the crowd at Talladega, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, a good piece of news right there. We'll keep you posted. To me personally, I'd be surprised if he were to move, but we'll wait and see. But it is a great consideration. With that, let's roll in and do the local section of the Trackside program.
Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona In Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Volusia Speedway Park continued to build excitement in Saturday night's short track showdown as the new twist packed the Fab Five feature races. From 102 cars that signed in between the 604 late models, 602 late models, dirt car UMP modifieds, three-quarter modifieds, and factory stocks, it was Donnie Chappell, Dalton Hopk, Seth Geary, Trent Lloyd, and Jason Carver visiting Victory Lane. The Top Gun Sprint Car Series returns to Volusia Speedway Park on Saturday, May 17th for the first two big shows at the world's fastest half mile in 2025. The Wing Warriors will be joined by dirt car UMP modifieds, factory stocks, and three-quarter modifieds. At New Smyrna Speedway last Saturday night, in the E-Mod feature, Eugene Tuminello gets that win in Super Stocks Chase Simons, Bomber A's Dustin Higdon, and Bomber B's Zach Curtis, and in the Ground Pounders, Toby Smith. And Saturday night, don't miss Pro Trucks, Bomber B's Super Stocks, and Mod Minis. Heat start at 6, feature start at 7:30. At Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola last Friday night, in the Faith Champion Outlaws, Tim Watson gets that win. Pro Late Models, Jake Finch. Crown Stocks, Adam Salter, and Pro Trucks, Stephen Davis. Five Flags takes the weekend off, back in action next Friday, May the 9th, with the Modifieds of Mayhem. We'll feature Outlaws, Modified of Mayhem Tour, Pure Stocks, Crown Stocks, and the Allison Legacy. And in NASCAR last weekend at the Crazy World of Talladega in the Xfinity race, Austin Hill gets that win, and Austin Cindric in the Cup race. All three series at the Texas Motor Speedway tonight. The trucks at 8 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow, the Xfinity race at 2 p.m. on CW, and the Cup guys at 3:30 on Sunday. You can see that race on Fox Sports 1. Okay, Randy, this raises the question. Obviously, I recorded those a little bit earlier in the day for the show, and I've had a cold. So my question to you is, it seems to me, hearing my voice through the headset from pre-record, that I sound a little bit like I'm from New York. What do you say?
I don't think so, Terry. No, you don't sound like you're from New York. No, there's a lot of things I might say, but that is not going to be one of them.
Okay, well, I'm proud to be from the South, so I'll just say it that way. And speaking of the South, lots of great things happening in the truck series as all three series. So let's check it out. We got some news. Let's go to the truck segment.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Randy, I think you and I would certainly agree that NASCAR is a very patriotic sport. I think we would also agree that we're seeing patriotism in the United States in the last few months grow. Enlistment in our armed services is definitely on the way and growing by a lot. So this is a really neat piece right here. You probably know all the guys over at Nice Motorsports, but that is veteran-owned over there, Al Nice. And he has dedicated 3 races to our military, and they're going to be recognized through 3 charitable organizations that are working with veterans, and thank goodness that they are. This is something that is needed. We've talked about this before. Foundation for Pops, Back to Golf Again, PGA Hope, and we're all familiar, of course, with Wreaths Across America. So Mr. Nice has decided that he's a retired Marine, and during Vietnam as a sergeant. So this is kind of cool, and what a perfect fit for NASCAR to be part of this.
Well, I think NASCAR, it's not because of it's not political. As long as I've known NASCAR, they've been a patriotic organization. There's been so many veterans that have raced or been a part of the sport, and I think that's the cool thing. Their own people. Bud Moore. You go on and on about the level of service of the people in our sport. So I think it's just part of the DNA. It's not something that's contrived. I mean, it's a place that you celebrate America. You know, I love it for that. Flyovers and flags and prayers, and you know, I mean, it's just the kids singing the national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much checks the box. It's always part of the pre-race activity, and they celebrate it. They celebrate America, and I think we should all celebrate America.
Well, and it's interesting, watching NASCAR on TV or being there. We've talked many times about how much different it is, sounds and smells and all that. But looking at what you just now said, I mean, I'm a pretty tough old guy. But, let's just take it at the Daytona 500 for an example. You've got the jets, the military flying over. You've got the national anthem. We always have a prayer. And, Randy, the hair on the back of my neck stands up, and many times, and I look around me, same thing. Everybody's got their hats in their hands and tears on their face. This just folds right into it. But, not all of the pro sports. I mean, we get the national anthem, but you don't get recognition from military much. Most of the time, no prayers, etc. So, it just makes you proud to be there. When you're there and experience it, and proud to be part of it, as NASCAR's always continued to stay on that same track.
Well, I met a guy a year and a half ago at the Richard Childress campus up in Welcome, North Carolina, and I didn't know who he was at the moment, and it's a funny story that I won't take up all of our time to tell you today, but he ends up being one of the executives of an organization called Beyond the Brotherhood, and this is an organization, 501c3 charitable organization for Navy SEALs who transition from SEAL life to civilian life. They have a very high failure rate. They have a high suicide rate, and so this organization is formed to help fix that. And so as a part of our March to Stop Suicide that we do here at Daytona International Speedway in April, as a part of Jeep Beach, we help them, and we raise a bunch of money that we give to them, some of it to them anyway, for getting people entered into their process so that we can help save their lives. These guys, and by the way, this guy is SEAL Team 6. He retired February of 2023.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, when you talk about, this isn't an elite group, and I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just sitting here talking to you about them, and the training, the experience to even get to this, to get considered to be a SEAL, and what they go through, and I have the deepest respect for them. But at the same time, as invincible as they are, doing the missions that they do, they struggle with exchanging their mission of being a SEAL, protecting you and me. They struggle when they try to become like you and me. And there's no way that we can ever repay the gratitude, the debt, the gratitude that these folks deserve for what they do and what they've done. And I've listened to some of the stories, and they don't tell it freely. This is not something that just rolls out. I mean, it's usually there's some struggle, and it's kind of like you got to get it out. But I just can't believe, and I thank God for our military, which makes it so. And I think what NASCAR does they realize, maybe better than most, that yeah, it's cool what they do, and it's a business, and there's responsibilities, but it's truly a result of being in a free country.
Well, that says it all right there, no doubt about that. God bless America, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. We got lots of stuff to cover, and Randy, it's going to be a little bit unnerving to you. I know we're going to have to talk some penalties. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Trackside.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
Well, Randy, speaking of Richard Childress Racing, Austin Hill prevailed in a 3-wide photo finish, edging out Jeb Burton and his RCR teammate Jesse Love. Randy, he gets his 9th Super Speedway victory. So this makes the 30-year-old Georgia native the NASCAR Xfinity Series all-time winningest drivers on drafting-style tracks such as Talladega, Daytona, and Atlanta, breaking a tie with a pair of NASCAR Hall of Famers, Tony Stewart and the late Dale Earnhardt. So it says a lot for a young warrior out there, and for RCR. 9 wins on super speedways. I think he's figuring it out.
Well, and to be clear, you do have to figure it out, and there's some other things that go with it. It's not just you figuring it out, but you end up you have to have the respect of the other drivers, because you cannot race at a super speedway and win alone. Mm-hmm. It requires help, and I don't mean from your own team. I'm not talking about your pit crew and the guys at the shop. I'm talking about the guys that are on the racetrack. You cannot win a super speedway race in today's world by yourself. You need help, and the only way you get help is, number one, you got to be willing to give help, and then number two, you have to be able to. You have to have the respect of the rest of the field to go with you. And so Austin Hill, 9 wins on super speedways and tying the great Dale Earnhardt Sr. And then Tony Stewart as well. That's some pretty high company right there. But he is good. I've watched him many times, and he knows what he's doing, and he does have the respect of the field. And Daniel raced that race with him, and Austin won the race, and Daniel finished 10th. And the difference is, I would say, and I'm not whining. I kind of tend to understand it, and probably would have been similar. Daniel's a rookie, and certainly a rookie at Talladega in an Xfinity car, first time ever, and got a top 10. But they treated him like a rookie.
They did.
They used him as he was fine. They liked him pushing, but nobody was going to push him, and they didn't. And so, he didn't have anybody to help him go to the front. He went to the front a little bit. He saw that happen, But throughout the race, when it came down to it, you know, he was kind of out there on his own. His only role was going to be a pusher, and nobody was pushing him. So, I mean, that's part of it, man. I mean, that's paying your dues. You just got to go. Yeah, I hadn't earned that one yet, and there you go.
Yeah, they kind of treated him like a ping pong ball a little bit there. You know, I was screaming at the television, which does no good, by the way. But this is what I would say about that is that Talladega is a mess. We see it every year. Yet, with that treatment and back and forth, 18th, 17th, 9th, 10th, back to 18th, you know, that kind of treatment, and because of what you just described, to not wreck the car, to hang on to it, to get through some of the wrecks and finish in the top 10 is a pretty big deal. So definitely, you know, a salute to both of those guys. Austin Hill has got a method. You know, they used to say Dale Earnhardt Jr. could see the wind. It's almost some of these guys like this that got 9 wins on super speedways. Some kind of method, you know, and as you said, maybe they're figuring it out, maybe they're not, but something good is happening. But, yeah, kudos to both those guys, and I think you'd agree with me. Daniel drove quite a race. Just to survive the mayhem at Talladega is saying a lot.
Yeah, you know, I don't think the mayhem was as significant as it has in past years.
Right.
But you just don't know, you know, and you're holding your breath. I don't think I've ever that I go to any race that I'm more knotted up over than that one. So, but I think for him to be there, you know, it's interesting because you got there Austin Hill that ties the greats in number of wins. And then you got Daniel, his first time ever in an Xfinity car at Talladega, and we're celebrating 10th place, and more importantly, coming home with a race car intact, you know, not damaged.
Well, 2 things in NASCAR, and you as have been behind the wheel, to finish 10th in NASCAR is saying something for any driver. To survive Talladega, being a rookie, is a big deal, and I think you would certainly agree. Daniel Dye earned some respect from a lot of folks on the racetrack.
I think so, and I think it's a process. You know, it's a weekly process of earning that respect and showing people that that he's competent and that he knows what he's doing. But look, we're 11 races into the season. There's a long ways to go, and it'll take time. You won't get that. You won't get there overnight. You're not going to get there from the first race. You know, they're going to be watching and they're going to be looking and they'll see and that's just pretty much the way it goes. I've told him before. I said, you know, he sometimes gets frustrated with that kind of stuff. I said, look, man, as far as those guys are concerned, you're just a snotty-nosed kid. Mm-hmm. And you gotta earn. How many times you've been a rookie in your life? You know,
it's
right?
not fun.
How many times I've been a rookie in the different sports I've played? That respect comes over a period of time, and you know, and when you're in a game situation and you perform the right way, you earn it. You earn it a little bit more at a time, right? But rookies are rookies.
Well, and some of those drivers that have earned it on the racetrack still remember when they were rookies. And, you know, okay, it's Daniel's turn. he did great. You know, I think, Randy, we got to figure out, Mr. Mark needs to figure out some special themes, song or something when we have, you know, a list of penalties. So we'll be working on that for you, folks. So we'll let you know. But let's look at this one. These are L1 level penalties. Pretty serious. Yeah. Number 87, Jordan Anderson Racing Chevrolet with Austin Green as the pilot, and the number 99, Viking Motorsports Chevrolet, our buddy Matt Diabenedetto, were both found to be in violation of Section 114.4A, body bumper cover. They didn't use the word exactly modification, but that's what they meant, I believe. Loss of 20 points for each one of these teams. Loss of 5 playoff points and $25,000 fine for both. Could have been a lot worse, Randy, but these are pretty big. Anytime you lose points, even this this new season, still, we're, like you said, 11 races in, still a big deal.
Oh, it's a very big deal. We were talking about this after Talladega, and I'm using Daniel because it tells you how tight this is. But we're 13th in the points after 11 races, and I think it's 9 points out of 12th. That's the cut line. But then inside of that, from 13th to 5th, there's only 49-point difference.
Wow.
So, it's jammed in there. It is jammed in there. It really is. It really is it is a big deal when you lose points. It's I think it's a way bigger deal than the money. Anyway, for sure. So right now I wouldn't want to lose any points. Okay, I just tell you, we wouldn't want to lose any points. It's too tight.
Nope, no room for that. No doubt about this one. Okay, this is, forgive me, fans, I'm going to have to read a little bit of this to you, but this is very unusual. Jesse Love's number 2 car rear suspension, the suspension that he used from Rockingham, was on display at Talladega, a show and tell, if you will. Eric Peterson, managing director of the Xfinity Series, showed the number 2 car's left side truck arm, rear end housing, U-bolt saddle, and lowering block. This rule violated at Rockingham was all the mating surfaces between the U-bolt saddle and the truck trailing arm were not in complete contact with each other. There was a significant gap visible. With the entire assembly not being tightened, Love had an aerodynamic advantage that eventually the Rockingham winner, Sammy Smith, pointed it out from the number 8 team's radio. So what happens when you go into the corner and all this stuff is not tight is the load on the suspension moves left, and then the cornering load moves right. With the body, will move to the right and the rear of the body toward the wall, and that adds side force to the car where the performance advantage comes in from. So, okay, Randy, you can't make that one up.
Well, so let me just say it this way. Take all that you just said, and everybody's going, what does all that mean? I was watching that race, and I was down, kind of not all the way in the first turn corner, but down that way. I've never seen in my life, I said it there, I said, I've never seen a car behave like that going into the corner. The whole car, typically what you're looking for is you want that car to be able to rotate through the corner, and the quicker you get that to happen, the quicker you can get back to the throttle, which, if you beat somebody to the throttle, you're going to be faster. This whole car rotated. I've never, in my whole life, I'm sitting there and I saw it the first time and I'm like, no, I didn't see that. I didn't believe it. Because I've never, it was that different. And then it came back through there and it went back in that corner and did it again. I'm like, man, there's something up there. Those guys have found something. Of course, yeah, they sure did. I just didn't realize it wasn't legal. Yeah. But I think that's clearly Sammy Smith, I'm sure, saw what I saw. It was crazy.
Yeah, and so I guess crazy is the word. And what made them think they could get away with such a thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you the one thing that in their case, which is a little different, is that they're in, right? They're locked in. They won earlier.
Yep.
This was a let's see what happens. It didn't really. It cost them some playoff points. I don't remember how many, but they're still in the playoffs because they won. Yeah.
Well, you tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like being in the car with that going on would be. Now, I don't know if you've ever done this. I have, because I am from the South. It'd be like a little bit like riding a bull, with the skin shifting back and forth a little bit. It had to feel weird from the driver's seat, right?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't asked him about it, but I kind of think the way I would see it is it had to feel really good because he was so good through the corner. Nobody was as good as him. So that means it gave him more confidence. So he felt more confident about having the car under him than the other guys who didn't have that advantage, and that's where he gained all that ground. And again, to be clear, this isn't Jesse's call.
Right.
This is he's driving the race car.
Right.
And he's not the one that set it up. He's not the one that made the suggestion. He's just so. I think you got to separate him from what happened. But I can tell you, I saw what the result was on the racetrack. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, surprisingly, the penalties were not worse, but there it is. Hey, this is some good news from Steve McDonald. He has said that the Rockingham race with the Xfinity and the trucks was extremely successful. The Xfinity race was definitely sold out. And so the mission there is to keep both the series at Rockingham, maybe entice some more Cup drivers to participate in those two series. And then O'Donnell told the Charlotte Observer that, hey, maybe in the future, you just never know what the future holds, because we'd like to see possibly the Cup guys come back to Rockingham. So a great weekend at Rockingham. TV ratings great, sellout, etc., and possibilities of some more things happening at a great racetrack.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't disagree. I think it'd be awesome to have the Cup guys at Rockingham, but I don't want to see us race on Easter, and so if they do all that, then either one of the series probably can't go, or you'll have to do two races on one day to try to get it done, or you're going to have to back it up to Thursday, right? So you'd have to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in my opinion. I don't see how you I just don't want to see us race on Easter. I think we've done that.
Yes.
It doesn't work. I could tell you this much, that if Miss Annie B was around, nobody would even suggest racing on Easter.
Exactly.
Because they'd be in her office getting their butt whipped with a yardstick.
Exactly. No doubt about it. No, I'm very glad to see they're not doing that. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we got more to cover. Let's go into the Cup segment of the Trackside program.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle in auto racing. Just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
Okay, so Cup Series at Talladega, 4.41 million viewers for Sunday's race. And this does, Randy, mark the final race on a network, until we come back in August at Daytona with NBC. So that being said, I'm just going to roll into a really nice piece of news right here, and that is Prime Video announces May 22nd premiere date for the Earnhardt series. That's a docuseries that's going to delve into the multi-generational look and the sacrifice, hardship, and drive of one of the most famous families in NASCAR. And that's going to kick off on the 22nd. Prior to the Coca-Cola 600, and then the second episode later on the 29th. So Prime Video kicking that off, and we got some races coming up there. So that's going to be an exciting docuseries right there, and then some great coverage with some great people in the booth.
Yeah, I like the docuseries. I like some of this stuff. Look, I'm not privileged to the dollar amounts that come out of these TV contracts. I don't like the moving around for the fan, the TV fan, to have to chase and figure out where they can find the race. I have a hard time with this one, and I think one of the successes of the Xfinity Series this year is that you've got 11 races on the CW network, and there's going to be 22 more on the CW network. and the starting times are pretty similar each week, and it's got a good cadence and a good rhythm and a good feel about it. I just don't know that I get this. I don't. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's dollar driven. Don't misunderstand me, but I don't know in the big picture, long run, that it's the thing that makes the most sense. But hey, they didn't ask me.
Well, yes, they did not. We did not get anything from them. We didn't go to any of the meetings. I would certainly agree. I mean, it's challenging enough just the way it is. So yeah, but I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll do our best to find out what's going on, figure it all out, and bring the latest news that we can. So, yeah.
Well, here's what I'll do, and I love listening to MRN, formerly MRN. Now it's NASCAR radio. I like hearing it from that perspective anyway. So that's probably what I'll do in that interim.
Well, and we both have discussed this. It's really great coverage, and well, I've been in radio for 40 years. The picture that those guys paint is just like seeing it on the track. I mean, you're there. So yeah,
absolutely.
There you go. Well, Randy, I know you thought that the Cup guys had gotten away clean, no penalties. You'd be wrong. Priest and Logano disqualified at Talladega. RFK Racing acknowledging and accepts NASCAR's decision to disqualify the number 64 Mustang following post-race inspection at Talladega, and they won't appeal an unconditional adjustment to correct a spoiler angle issue. Now, you and I both know a spoiler angle can create some issues. And then Team Penske disqualified the number 22, and they found that 18 bolts on the surface of the spoiler that connect the base were found to be loose. And so that they will not appeal that. Team Penske accepts the disqualification. So the spoiler, that's pretty loose. It can move around. I think that creates an advantage. I just can't believe it. I can't believe some of the crazy things that are happening here, and they think, we'll slide by, no problem.
Well, I think there's a little bit of that spoiler stuff that, I think it was at Gibbs that appealed and won, right?
Right.
And so I think that kind of opened the door for, hey, let's just try another thing. And it along in that same vicinity of the race car. Well, it didn't work, and so I think that's what's going on there. But it's at a super speedway, man. Aero is everything, and the spoiler angle is definitely gonna. If you got a little different spoiler angle, you're going to be better off than the rest of the group. So, yep, I get it.
Okay, so this raises the question. Now, you fly a lot, so do I. We understand what an elevator is on an aircraft. Yeah. So will they get caught one of these days with a pedal inside the cockpit of a Cup car that moves the spoiler, that adjusts the spoiler angle with the foot of the driver? Is this going to happen?
We have some great innovators in this sport.
Yes, we do. And that's all we'll say about that, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. We'll wait and see. So, okay. Well, there's lots of uproar, Randy, about tariffs. And we hear both sides of the fence, and I think you and I have an opinion on it that we won't delve into. But Lionel has added a surcharge to the diecast due to the tariffs, because the Lionel diecasts are made and imported from China. So they have got basically all the new and pre-orders for shipping from the factory are on hold, and there is no timeline given and when that's going to change. So let me throw this idea out to you, Randy, and then I'm going to close with let you comment on it, and we'll be saying goodbye here in just a minute. But make them in freaking America.
That's a pretty simple solution, right? I think I talked to some folks about make toys, and one of the things they said, well, it's such a difficult time making the quality, the workforce. I said, well, that's sort of, we do those things in America. We train people to do things, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of stuff used to be made here, and I'm hoping that it all works out. I think we've gotten, in my opinion, I know we talk a lot about tariffs, and there's definitely a made in America sentiment out there.
Right.
I think this is a bigger picture than just being made in America. I think it has to do with our, if you talk about it, if you hear it, they're willing to negotiate with just about everybody. China, on the other hand, they're bad actors.
Correct.
And I think this is a way to hurt their economy.
It is.
So that we can stay in charge and keep the rest of the world safe. The richer China gets, the more unsafe the world is.
Correct.
There you go.
We don't have a choice. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. I'll tell you real quickly that Casey Kane is going to be named the honorary pace car driver this weekend at Texas for the Cup race. So enjoy yourself. Enjoy your weekend. Got some great racing going on around here that you can get to. And, hey, we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Trackside.
See you at the racetrack, everybody.
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside. Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.